Welcome back to the GameLink podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Lebbi, and as always, I'm joined by my friend Elmer.
Hater Hoder.
Today, we're finally getting around to talking about the Super Mario Brothers movie. But before we do that, I guess it has been quite a while, Elmer. What have you been up to? Anything interesting besides car troubles?
Dear God. Everything from car troubles to getting conflu from going to Anime Detour to surviving the last of winter that Minnesota decided to deposit upon us, which, oh, geez, a few times it dropped under 30 in the past month as well. It kind of made us go, oh, God, are we ever going to actually see spring? To now being in the mid 80s on a regular basis, I can finally say with any certainty, holy shit, we're up and running again.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we've unfortunately it's been a little bit since we've been on here. Nothing too crazy, more or less, just some home repairs around here, some car issues I've had to try to take care of as of late. Today, even as well, which has been a pain in the ass. But if anything, I'm not seeing any drips coming out of my differential after replacing my most recent CV axle. So you know what? Fingers crossed that I'm not going to be in the shop anytime soon. So yay!
Yeah, no, we've had car issues as well. Well, not me, but uh, my partner. She got rear-ended a few months ago, so she took it into the shop to get that fixed. And while that was being fixed, they're like, "Hey, you got like a crazy oil leak. It's like in your engine and all this stuff." So she spent like a few grand getting that fixed, and then 2 days later, her car's overheating because all her antifreeze leaked out. So we had to bring it back and get that fixed. And yeah, I've had enough of bargaining with mechanics. It's a little ridiculous, but besides that, hey, did you see the new Evil Dead movie, Elmer?
We my partner Archangel found out that movie actually had come out last month, and she looked me dead in the eye last night and said, "Why the hell didn't we go see it?" And I said, "Sweetie, when was the last time we went to the movie theater?" And she went, "You have a good point there." So no, unfortunately, I have not gotten a chance to see Evil Dead Rise yet. I do really want to check it out. I'm very excited the fact that it has now come to instant access streaming, which means that just in a short bit of time here, it should be hopping onto something so that way I can finally check that one out, which I am quite excited for.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that with my buddy in the theater, and it was good, but there were some things that were a little disappointing. I won't ruin anything for any of you, but they do that thing where they like telegraph things that happen later on in the movie, but it's like constant. So one scene they show something, and you're like, oh, I wonder what they're gonna use to stab the thing later on, and then exactly what you think is gonna happen happens. Uh, and there's just too much of that. But other than that, I thought it was great. I
Uh,
had a fun
to
time
that I
with it.
say, Lebby, have you not seen the original Evil Dead? I mean, they have a legitimate Chekhov's gun on over the goddamn fire. I'm actually shocked it didn't say Chekhov's on the buttstock of that 20 gauge in that movie, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
But
it's got a different. I think you'll see what I mean. I had a good time with it, but I don't know, something about it. But anyway, uh,
it's funny you say that though, because Archangel and I just watched a movie recently with a little bit of your assistance of being able to track it down. It was a hard one to track down.
oh yeah,
Masterpiece from 1980 called Used Cars, starring the great Kurt Russell, Garrett Graham, as well as cameos by Letty and Squiggy in that one as well. Fantastic comedy written by Bob Gale and Bob Zemeckis, who later went on
oh
to write and produce and direct Back to the Future. So it actually works as kind of a fun prequel to that. But that may be the ultimate perfect setup, payoff, as well as just sort of, well, in a way, Chekhov's gun sort of thing, where all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, they did set all of that up. So it's almost like a domino effect in terms of that movie kind of being put together. So now I'm excited to actually see this Evil Dead Rise, to kind of see where you're talking about that in terms of me going, if you don't actually set it up perfectly and you don't pay it off well, is it even worth it in the end? So no, now I'm excited to actually check that one out.
No, I think they did a great job. I don't know. I'd watch it again for sure. Like I wasn't disappointed overall, but there were just some things that it was like, huh, hmm, you know. But other than
We,
that, yeah, that
I
got
was gonna
me.
say,
Oh, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say we should clarify for the audience who are either watching this or listening to this after the fact. Lebbi and I are old school Evil Dead heads, is the best way of putting it. Since high school, where some other friends of ours were big
Yeah.
Evil Dead fans and stuff like that. Helped us get into it. We have actually gotten the rare chance and honor. Well, I should say too rare of a chance or honor, considering how often he's at cons. But we actually got a chance to actually do a Q&A with Bruce Campbell back in high school, which was quite fun. You and your fake mustache.
Yeah, I always forget about that. Uh, yeah, we went and saw My Name Is Bruce, and
Which Archangel saw that movie title the other day and went, "That's not a real movie, is it?" I went, "Oh, sweetie, that
unfortunately,
is." I'm like, that is both a real movie I've seen in theaters, and a real movie I got to be embarrassed by Bruce Campbell twice at after the fact. So, it is quite real.
yeah, unfortunately, it's a fun enough movie, I guess. But yeah, we went to see that, and for some reason, a few of us wore like fake mustaches. We were like teenagers, and we raised our hand to ask a question, and he goes, "Yeah, guy with the fake mustache, the really bad fake mustache." I'm like, "Cool."
We still weren't the worst people to get lampooned by him at that screening, though, because, dear God, Bruce Campbell may be the best improv comedian I've ever seen live. But no, no, it was a good time. Everybody had fun at that one. And hell, I mean, the movie itself is a fun one. If you haven't seen it, it's literally Bruce Campbell wrote it and directed. He pointed the camera and basically the entire making fun of it at himself. The whole point of the
Yeah,
movie is just to go, I am such a shit show. And
yeah,
comes across well.
yeah. It's fun. It's fun. But yeah, what else? If you haven't noticed, I got a new couch. People who are watching this on video, it's an all right couch. It was fairly affordable, but it's cozy, so there's that. I got a new streaming PC, which is awesome. So it's gonna let us. We might do some like couch co-op streams or something later on. Who knows? But in the process of getting this ready today, I discovered that my camera broke. So if I look especially fuzzy today, that's why I had to switch to an old camera. Um, so that'll be fun. I need to find a replacement for that. Ooh, Tears of the Kingdom, the new Zelda game. Have you seen anything about that, Elmer?
I've seen tiny little bits about it. More or less of anything. I took one look and just went, "Oh, hey, look! It's a combination of Princess Mononoke. Woo! The video game." But other than that, yeah, no, it looks awesome.
Yeah, that game is a lot of fun. I've played only a couple hours of it. Um, but I mean, people are already doing ridiculous things with it. I don't know if you've seen any of it, but people are like they're making giant statues with giant penises that shoot flames out of it and stuff because you can just fuse things to each other in that game. That's part of it. So it's people can like really break things. It's kind of cool.
I was there for the Caucasaurus Rexuses for Spore back in the day. I was there for the original Cock Rocket when it came to Minecraft when that first appeared.
Cock rocket.
And I was there for the full nude build for the third Dark Souls game. You first had my attention. Now, Sonny, you have my full interest.
I'll send you some videos later on. People have made some pretty great stuff. Like there's like these little like gliders that you can like ride on, and you can like attach fans and stuff to them, and bombs and stuff. So people like they're getting screen recordings of themselves like flying over villages of enemies and just dropping bombs from like a plane, and they're just like it's just like like 70s rock music playing in the background.
The second you said flying overhead and dropping bombs, Fortunate Son started playing in my
Yep.
head, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Yep, pretty much.
Welcome to the Blitz!
Uh,
Oh, Jesus.
yeah, and I suppose over our break we also played a little bit of Vermintide too.
That we have. We've been doing some of that. I've been having fun with that with my what do you call him? Not heretic. Inquisitor build, where I run around with my rapier and a shitload of guns or pistols just popping heads off. And which one were you playing as again? Were you the
I think I was a
you were the
witch,
you were the mage
pyromancer.
for that one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, you were the one running around with basically the flamethrower build on that one, just burning them as they came flying at us. And yeah, no, we've been having a lot of fun with that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
hopefully, yeah, I was gonna say, hopefully we can get some of those streams up for weekends. We're just like, yeah, I don't feel like sitting here and talking about another viewable movie. Let's just play some Vermintide. So
yeah, that would be fun. I love Vermintide too, and I've been playing a little bit of the new Warhammer game, Dark Tide, which is basically Vermintide but with guns. So that one's a lot of fun.
speaking of that, because it also has come out, just kind of keep that up. One, they just released Bolt Gun recently to Steam,
Oh yeah, yeah.
as most other places, which is basically Duke Nukem, the Duke Nukem 3D, just set in the Warhammer universe, 40K universe. And they just released the trailer for the what is it, Speed something? Basically, it's the Orc Demolition Derby open world game, which looks incredible. As somebody who is a 40K fan, I am quite excited for that one.
Good deal. Yeah, I've been getting a lot more into Warhammer stuff lately, so this might be a this might be an interesting rabbit hole.
I was going to say, considering you're the one who I've been talking to here, there, and everywhere, where it's just like, oh my god, it's why are they always so serious with the tone? And I'm the one who has to go, it's cynicism when they are serious with the tone. When you look at the underlying theme of all of it, it's satire and it's poking fun at itself the entire time, which is the one fun part of the actual uh what's the name? Why can't I think of the name of the actual company? um
It's not.
Games Workshop. Games Workshop. That's the
Yeah.
whole theme of their stuff is the fact that they're pointing at themselves and making fun of it the entire time, which is kind of the whole joke of the whole series, which
Well,
kind
and
of helps
now
a little bit.
there isn't there like a live action Warhammer series or something being made?
Amazon, yes. Our good buddy, Henry Cavill, right after he quit over as being Geralt of Rivia
Hmm.
for the Witcher series. He left that, and everyone, oh, does this mean he's gonna play Superman? And within one meeting of the new people who are running DC, that would be James Gunn and Peter Seraphine, they came out and they went, nope, he's not coming back to the role. So everybody went, uh-oh, now it's happening. But he then, our good friend, Mr. Henry Cavill, aka Geralt of Rivia, aka Superman, aka Napoleon Solo from Man from Uncle. He is going to be executive producing and starring in a series of Warhammer 40K for Amazon, which should be quite fun. And I'm looking very much forward to that because one, that man loves him some Warhammer, always has. Anybody who doesn't understand what I'm saying, hop over to his YouTube or his Instagram and you will see how much that man loves the 40K universe. And
Yeah.
two, that man was, you just take one look at him and go, yeah, no, put a black haired mullet on that guy and he is the perfect Emperor of Mankind. Just perfect. So, nope, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think it'll be interesting. I'm kind of excited for it, honestly.
He
But
gets it. he gets it, so that's why I'm really hoping that that sense of humor is intact. The only way you can actually do in this day and age a 40K movie, you have to basically do like a RoboCop slash Starship Troopers like satire with it, where it's just like, fight today for the Imperium of Man. We are the good guys. You are living in squalor and shit, and here you're going after these alien species who are living much better than you are, but they're heretical. You must fight and kill them. Don't look over here where we're committing genocide on a major level and also exterminating our own planets, But just remember, for the glory of the Empire.
Yeah, it should be good. But yeah, I suppose we can start talking about Mario now.
Speaking
We
of the
just
glory of the Empire,
Nintendo. Aside from all their you know, lawsuits and how they just like ruin people's lives. Like I don't know if you heard about the guy that was like he was pretty much like the PR guy for this Team Executor, I think is what it was called. They made mod chips for the Switch. He was basically just the PR guy for this company, and they sued him for I can't remember like 30 million or something like that. And so like his wages for the rest of his life are gonna be garnished by like 30% or something ridiculous. Like I don't know, it's ridiculous. Nintendo, you're crazy. But it's a pretty good movie you got here. um, it's gonna be a bit weird to review this movie since there's no real plot or storyline like a conventional movie, but it works because it's Mario. So, um, anyway, we'll be talking about Mario 64. I'm sure Elmer's played some, but I played a lot of Mario 64 when I was a kid.
I never owned it. Let's put it this way: up until right behind me here, I've never actually owned a Nintendo console. And now I own both an NES. Thank you, Lebby, for getting that fucker
Yeah.
working for me. And I also own a Super Nintendo, and this is the first time I've actually owned them myself, and I've actually played a few of the Mario games on these ones, besides when I was a kid. But no, my next door neighbors growing up had a N64, and even though I didn't play too much of Mario 64, I get to kick back, relax, and just bullshit while we watch each other play that. So no, yes, I remember a good amount of Mario 64 on that one.
Yeah, for anyone who maybe hasn't played it wasn't the first 3D game, but it was the first 3D game that like felt good. Like it was I think the N64 was the first system to come with an analog stick. Um and for 3D movement that was like a game changer. So um Shigeru Miyamoto, he conceived of 3D Mario when he was making Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, which that game was like crazy. They had to put what's called the Super Effects chip inside the game cartridge so that it could render like wireframe 3D images. And so immediately he was considering like using this same technology to develop a Super NES game called Super Mario FX, uh, where the world was gonna be miniature. You'd have like little tiny miniature trains and cities and things like that, and somehow Mario would play into that. I don't know.
Sim
Uh,
City Mushroom Kingdom Edition? Whoa.
yeah, maybe. Um, I think the Super Nintendo was a little too limited for that, so he reworked the idea for the N64. Um, but not because of. Oh, sorry, 1 second here. They decided to rework it for the N64 not because of the greater graphics power, but because the controller was suited better. So that's what I was talking about before. Like, it was the first time the controls actually made sense for something 3D. Um,
To say that the N64 controller ever made sense for anybody's hands is kind of
oh
an
God.
overstatement I've ever heard because
Yeah, and I'm in the process of modifying my N64 for HDMI right now, and I've had to rebuild a couple of my joysticks because these joysticks, they're all plastic on plastic. There's no lube, and they're what now? They're almost 30 years old. So they're real like wobbly joysticks and like worn out. So you like take them apart and you have to replace all these like gears and plastic parts. And I'm just like dumping plastic dust out of them from all the erosion over the years. So now they feel great. So I'm excited to get my N64 up and running again. But yeah, so they. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so to make sure we fully get our E rating on whatever actual podcast network you're getting this from. For those of us who are not lucky enough to have actually played an original N64 back in the day, may it have been GoldenEye, Turok, hell, even Banjo Kazooie, Mario 64. Oh, one of our personal favorites between you and I, Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Oh yeah.
To try to utilize one of those controllers with all three of those major arms of gripping points on there, the best way to describe how you're supposed to hold one of those things, it's like holding well, I'd say probably a GameCube controller with a dildo extended on the end of it with a trigger on it. So,
Yeah,
you know what?
my buddy was over here with his kid the other day, and we were trying to play some Kirby on the N64, and his kid kept like moving his hands around and like trying to figure out which hand was supposed to go where on this stupid controller. uh, but that's why you just buy, gosh, what is it called? The Super Pad 64? No, something maybe similar, but it's a two-handed controller for the N64. I got one. I wish I could probably find more online, but they're pretty nice. They're pretty neat. But no, I guess you can get things like what was it called, the Retro Fighter Pad or something. It's a new company that's making them fresh with like modern joysticks and stuff. They're pretty nice. Yeah, two handed. Anyway, man,
Yeah,
what a
anybody
weird
that's
controller.
never extremely weird. And hey, here's the funnier part. They always made the aim inverted on those. So now imagine trying to have three posts that you hold onto it. The joystick's in the middle. The trigger is directly underneath the joystick. So try playing a first-person shooter where the look is inverted. You have no idea where the hell your thumb is. You have no idea where the walk button is. And now I got to try to pull a trigger on a gun and shoot the guy running at me.
Oh yeah, Perfect Dark and GoldenEye. I mean, they put GoldenEye on the Switch, like N64 Pass or whatever, but it's just kind of proving that yeah, this game doesn't quite hold up.
If you tighten it up just a little bit, I mean, hell, if they just remade that game on like the original Quake engine, oh my god, I think, because trust me, that'd be the greatest game of all time. If you just remade GoldenEye using the original Quake engine and using a modern actual controller setup, and I don't even play that many video games anymore, and even I'm the one saying that. Trust me, I will sell my soul. Well, no, I can't do that. I'll sell a kidney so that way I can get that game.
That would be good, like with mouse and keyboard controls. Hell yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Me and a buddy booted up some Turok 2 last week, and we've been playing through that. I think we're like two levels in right now. Man, that game was something else. Anyway,
You
back
got
to
the
Mario.
cerebral bore yet? Oh, before you get to that though, do you get the cerebral bore yet? One of my favorite weapons in video game history.
Not yet. We just got the is it an SMG? It's like a pistol that shoots in 3 round bursts.
Something like that. I don't remember. The
Uh,
only weapon I remember from those games, other than the rocket launcher and the bow, was the cerebral bore.
yeah.
Which if anything, they made the cerebral bore obsolete when they did destroy all humans and get the anal probe weapon. But same concept.
The tech bow is pretty cool though. You got the bomb arrows.
Oh hell yeah! Makes me feel
Anyway,
like Rambo.
yeah. So anyway, they began actually making Mario 64 in 1994. Um, and they worked on it until 1996, just in time for the Nintendo 64. Uh, it was made by only about 15 people, which nowadays that's like hundreds of people make a Nintendo game. Uh, they first started development by making the characters and the camera system, the awful, awful camera system. But I mean, it was the beginning of 3D games. What are you supposed to do for cameras? You know, there was no standard yet. Uh,
I
the
will give it
original,
to him there. I will give it to him there. Well, as not good as that camera system is, it's still leaps and bounds better than both Tomb Raider as well as the
uh,
original Resident Evil that all of them started development and or released were around that same 94, 95 period. So you know what? Still leaps and bounds better.
yeah, true, true. Um, the original concept was. Oh, my dog needs to be behind me for some reason. Come on, get out of there. Oh, shush. Okay, so the original concept was gonna be like a fixed path type of game, like isometric view, kind of like Super Mario RPG. Um, but then it shifted to a free roaming 3D design that we have now with some linear paths. Uh, it was one of the first games that Nintendo created illustrations internally instead of outsourcing that kind of thing. Um, oh my gosh, that the 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 system used to make the graphics is a system by Silicon Graphics. And I read this wrong the first time. It's called the N World, but I thought it was called the N Word. But no, they used a Silicon Graphics machine called the N World to design the characters and stuff. They prioritized Mario's movement before they even made any levels. So if you notice, like when you do sharp turns and stuff, he like angles and I don't know. They nailed his movement, man. That game still holds up today, and it's like almost 30 years old.
The
Uh,
two best part about that graphic engine: one, that mustache; two, that Mario booty.
yeah, the one of the illustrators actually just basically drew Mario at a bunch of different angles for them to get references for the 3D model. So, uh, I mean that was like the real early days of 3D, so it's just kind of neat. Um,
Now I'm imagining them actually building the game off of like one of the Mortal Kombat engines, so it's literally just some short fat guy in like a Mario outfit, just kind of standing there, and it says "Hi." Woohoo!
yeah, they kind of they were trying to compare it to like a 3D cartoon. They wanted to have it give that sort of feel, but I mean, obviously, it's still on an N64, so you're kind of limited. Um,
When was the release of the game actually? Come to think
uh,
of it.
in '96, let's see, June 23rd, '96.
Okay, June 23rd with that. I don't know if you remember this, but November of '95, a little movie came out. Little movie made by a company that was an offshoot of Lucasfilm that was then released by Disney. I don't know if you've heard of this one. It's called Toy Story. There's a little bit of pedigree behind it in terms of just kind of what they were able to kind of push the envelope for. Do you think an actual 3D environment would have read as well had people not actually had a little bit of that sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, je ne sais quoi of, well, pretty much the concept of like a three-dimensional world living beyond that? Because I mean, around that same time, you had Doom in 90, what was Doom 93 or is that 95
Oh, I'm
or
not sure.
94?
That
But
might have been '95.
but you can see what I'm getting at though is that the one thing, I mean, to this day, even though you look at Mario 64 and you're like, oh, that's so cute. it kind of did push the boundary in terms of what an actual three-dimensional platform or a three-dimensional or actually controlling a character within a three-dimensional environment. Do you think that would have kind of the same places that actually had we not actually had, say, like a well, like a Toy Story in front of us?
I think so. I mean, we had other 3D games and 3D environments, but it would mostly be like
2.5D.
no, we had like real 3D, but it would be like the textures would be almost non-existent. Like you just get like a solid color as a texture, or maybe like a checkerboard pattern, or uh, I mean, it just wasn't like the level of detail that we'd have here. Like I don't know if you've ever seen Bubsy 3D.
That game haunts my nightmares, and I was actually about to use that as a punchline and go, I get you. PUBG 3D. I was just about to say that, so you actually stole
Yeah.
my thunder. Thank you. No.
Yeah, just absent of textures in life. We had a lot of stuff like that. I mean, even uh, did the Sega Saturn was after the N64, right?
Same era-ish.
Uh,
It was
no, the
around the
Sega
same.
Saturn released in 1994, so 2 years before the N64. And we had some pretty decent full 3D games there. Uh, except it was just Sega, and um, like there's that one. Gosh, what is it called? You're in like a jet. You're flying around these like mountains, and you have this like stupid AI in the corner going like, "Where did you learn how to fly?" Just over and over and over. Uh, I think, I think, the Angry Video Game Nerd did an episode on it.
Considering I haven't seen a new episode of his since I was a senior in high school, you're going to have to be a bit more specific there, Sonny.
Skylar, the 1993. Oh, that was on the Atari Jaguar, not the Sega Saturn.
Oh,
Yeah, so
God. Trying to play that on a Jaguar. Oh, my God.
yeah, so I
Eh.
mean, we had 3D games. They just weren't. They weren't this level of quality. Um, but they much like a show or a cartoon, they tried to impose like their own personal experiences and stories into the game. So, for instance, the boos are based on assistant director Takashi Tezuka's wife, who is described as very quiet normally, but one day she exploded, maddened by all the time Tezuka spent at work.
Well, that
uh,
explains the pissed off piano. Jesus.
uh, yeah. The first time the game was run was on a Silicon Graphics Onyx emulator, which emulated the N64's application programming, but not its hardware. So it was basically just a test of the physics and involved Mario interacting with a golden rabbit named Mips. So that's kind of where I don't know how many modern Mario games you've played, but you always chase a rabbit in Mario now.
Nope.
So it started here. Like a little rabbit appears and you got to chase it down and catch it to get a star. But yeah.
This makes me
Uh,
feel like I'm running after somebody in a turban holding the dragon egg from Spyro. That's the first thing that comes to mind. But you know what? I'm gonna get me that golden bunny.
yeah, just for a test, and I mean they did put the rabbit in the final game where you'd had to catch it to get a star. So that's where it started. That's pretty cool. Um, it features they put a lot more like puzzles in this than they did in other games because the games up to this you'd have like specific levels and you couldn't really do much in the overworld besides go from level to level, and this one the overworld had its own puzzles and stuff to it, so it was a lot more in depth in that respect. And it was developed simultaneously with the Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. They're built on the same engine. It's pretty clear that that they were made at the same time.
That tracks, and what's even funnier, which I'm not sure if some people on here know this, but there is actually a little ROM hack you can do with Ocarina of Time. Let's see if you can actually fill some in the pieces, where you can actually conjure by going through the code. you can get one of the Star Fox 64 actual fighters in there to fight you, because they utilize that as the the prototype for a dragon that you'd be able to fight in
Oh
the game.
yeah.
I
No, that
remember
makes
reading about
sense.
that a few years ago. I remember reading about that. So yes, weird coinky dink that, Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, as well as Star Fox 64, all kind of completed around the same engine around the
Yeah.
same time.
Well, the thing is, Ocarina of Time didn't come out until 2 years after Mario did. Um, but it started at the same time. They even used some of the same puzzles from Mario 64 in Zelda.
Mm.
The developers they wanted to include a multiplayer mode in Mario 64, um, where one person could play Mario and the other playing Luigi in split screen, but it wouldn't work well enough on that hardware. It was already being pushed to the limits. The music was composed by our favorite Koji Kondo, who, I mean, nailed it. The Mario 64 soundtrack is like super recognizable.
French
Let's
kiss
see.
right here. French kiss and full applause from me here. I mean, my God.
Yeah. Uh, let's see. The average N64 game had about 500 sound effects, uh, but they did a little bit more. And then in Ocarina of Time, they did like 1,200 sound effects. So you got to think of how much time these sound designers just spent making oof sounds and stuff.
Mamma mia. Speaking of which, can we bring him up quickly?
Can we what?
We bring him up quickly. The person who has been the voice
Oh,
of Mario now since 1994, technically.
yeah. I was actually just about to get to that. Super Mario 64 is one of the first games to feature Charles Martinet as the voice of Mario, and the then senior director of Nintendo Power, Leslie Swan, did the voice of Peach.
Really?
Yeah, that's no which Nintendo Powers is something I've started to collect these old games or these old game magazines, so that's something I want to try to get more of. But yeah, Charles Martinet. Uh, Obviously, a lot of people wanted him to voice Mario in the movie, but he makes a cameo, so.
And we'll get to that in just a minute. Also, was it Parthenex or was it the other dragon from Skyrim that he voiced?
Oh, Charles Martinet. Oh boy.
I want to say it's Parthenex, but I might be mistaken on that. So anytime, if you ever felt just overwhelming feelings of sadness when you're about to murder Parthenax to try to
Yeah.
continue on the Dragonborn campaign, that's why you're killing Mario as well as this ancient dragon. So you're welcome.
Yeah, it is Parthenax that he does. Yep. But yeah, no, that's all I got on Super Mario 64. I mean, I'm sure there's so much more I could talk about, like how the modding community has never stopped with that game, and how speedrunners are constantly making new records. Uh, yeah, this game holds up real well. But
That and how many of millions of those baby penguins have been dropped over that edge?
oh yeah, yeah. But let's start in on this movie here. Did you find anything cool?
Yeah, after 93's release of Super Mario Brothers, starring the late, great, oh, son of a bitch, I just forgot that bastard's name. Ugh. But yeah, anyway, after the 93 release of Super Mario Brothers, Nintendo's Shigeru Miyamoto took one look at went, yeah, we're going to take a step back, and we're not going to license this out to anything for a while.
Yeah.
And apparently, it wasn't until they started re-releasing a lot of those games to the Switch once Breath of the Wild and stuff like that came out. That Miyamoto started realizing there might be something here in terms of us actually having a development for an actual another live action film. And it's hard to say. It's all kind of rumors at this point, and everybody who was attached to this email chain network, they've said, nope, never happened, not real. But to any rumor, there's still a little moment of truth if you really think about it. So there's a rumor that came out because of this email that got leaked back in about 2015, 2017-ish. That Gendy Tartakovsky, for a combination of TriStar and Columbia, because he had just worked on the Hotel Transylvania films, that apparently between Avi Arad, who is one of the main producers for Columbia TriStar around that same time, and then, our good friend Gendy Tartakovsky, who is also the same person, like I said, of Hotel Transylvania, but also the Powerpuff Girls and Samurai Jack, he was in talks with Nintendo to potentially do a computer-generated Super Mario Brothers movie. Now, we don't know exactly how far this went into development, if it even did, because like I said, this was all just based off of the leaks, because if people remember, there was a gigantic leak that came from Columbia TriStar, as well as by their parent company, Sony. So let's put this into perspective.
What, Sony having a leak? Never.
Sony potentially negotiating film rights for Nintendo films.
Shh. Yeah.
Perfect timing on that one. Perfect timing on
Hey,
that one.
you can go to your kennel if you're gonna be a silly goose.
Perfect timing, Meefy.
Go.
Perfect timing.
Go.
But
Go.
yes, no, apparently, potentially, Gendy Tartakovsky may or may not have actually had the go-ahead to at least pitch to Nintendo a Super Mario Brothers animated film. And I would have loved to have seen that pitch if it was actually real. However, around the same time that actually leaked out, with the same networks or the same leaked emails that showed that Sony was unimpressed with all the movies that they had been contractually obligated to release for Adam Sandler around that same time. They went, yeah, no, this guy's losing us money. Let's sell him to Netflix. Around the same time, they're going, oh dear God, this movie that's produced and directed by and written by Seth Rogen and James Franco, The Interview. This is going to lose us money. What can we do to make sure that we can actually get this back? Oh, look, it's The Interview. Oh no, North Korea hacked our DMs. As well as them going, oh God, we haven't made a profitable Spider-Man movie in 10 years. What are we going to do now? Oh, hi, Marvel. So, kind of hearsay at that point. But
Yeah.
the big kind of thing that everybody agrees upon was with Nintendo partnering with Universal for the different Nintendo lands, specifically in Japan at the Universal Studios there, as well as with them beginning the partnership here stateside with advertisement for the different Nintendo properties. That is when Shigeru Miyamoto actually began talking to the guys who worked over at Illumination, the same company that does Life of Pets, the Sing series, as well as, which is important for this, the people who created Despicable Me. Miyamoto started discussing, potentially developing a film franchise for, Super Mario Brothers, kind of their flagship series. And apparently, the minute that he met the different guys for that process, they realized, oh no, this is a perfect fit, especially in terms of kind of the way that the character design, the world building, as well as, in a lot of ways, kind of the sense of humor of the entire game, so to speak. And no, apparently they hit it off really well. And because of that, the weekend that a competitor's movie came out, which, get ready for this one, the guys who wrote and directed Teen Titans Go to the Movies A series that everybody in our age group fucking despises. I have not seen a single lick of anything Teen Titans related. I've certainly not seen anything that is Teen Titans Go related.
You know, I hear a lot of people say that it's good. I've watched enough of it to know that it's not my thing. But the original Teen Titans animated series from the early 2000s, that was great.
Like I said, I have no connection to either of them, so I cannot comment. But I'm just saying, just imagine that. So many people from our age demographic bemoan the fact that they made Teen Titans Go. And I'm just like, whatever.
Yep.
Anyway, those are the guys who were handpicked by Nintendo to write and direct this film.
Oh boy.
And as far as I can tell, they kind of knocked it out of the park on that one. And
Yeah.
I'm going to stand by that. On top of that, once those guys were kind of pinned down just because of what they were able to do, that Miyamoto himself apparently was quite impressed by just sort of that sense of humor, as well as just sort of the world building that those guys were able to introduce within that film. So that way, if anybody who had no connection to any of the DC properties, the Teen Titans properties, hell, even if you'd never seen Teen Titans Go, the second you sit down that film, apparently you were able to figure out what exactly the tone of the movie was, who the characters were, and what the world building was. And that was apparently all Nintendo needed to go, we need these guys to work on this.
Yeah. I mean, and
Uh,
that's the thing. Like, you don't need uh a lot of world building and storytelling for something like Mario. You know, you just need a lot of gags and goofs and fun. You know.
you need a short little Italian guy in a pair of overalls running around and jumping on top of turtles. Trust me, you'll win.
Yep.
Which, believe it or not, how the hell did we not get that for the original 93 version? It's just right there. But anyway, it was September of 29, or was it 2020 or 2021? Somewhere in there. Anyway, they started releasing the actual cast list for this movie, and this cast is still stacked if you really think about it.
Oh
You've got
yeah.
Charlie Day from famously "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" as the voice of Luigi. Anya Taylor-Joy, who is kind of the A24 darling in terms of just kind of being this young, up-and-coming actress who has been knocking out of the park in everything she's done, from The Invitation to The Witch to the newest movies by M. Night Shyamalan within sort of that Unbreakable universe. As the voice of Princess Peach. Jack Black, who no one going to a modern blockbuster, there is not a single person in the Western world, hell, in some other countries, that is not going to know who the fuck Jack Black is, playing Bowser, which is one of the greatest casting choices in history, which we'll get
Oh,
back to.
he killed it. Oh my god.
Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong. And everybody, when they heard that, they're like, oh, are we going to have Donkey Kong doing the Seth Rogen laugh? Oh, no, 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 no. Seth Rogen knows that we were going to put the Seth Rogen laugh as Donkey Kong in that. And it's just like, no, that's near perfect. Fred
Yep.
Armisen, one of the best just in terms of both. He's a musical leader. He's a comedic god. They just said, hey, you're playing Cranky Con. And they're just like, Fred, whose voice are you going to do for this? He goes, fuck it. I'm just going to do a Mel Brooks impression. You know what? Kind of works.
Yeah, it's just like a nondescript Jewish accent.
You know, on top of that, Kevin Michael Richardson, they have in this as the voice of K-Mac. That's kind of like getting into the movie. That's like having for the next film if you had like James Earl Jones voicing Yoshi, in terms of somebody who has this very a voice you recognize everywhere, doing the exact opposite of that voice. But here's the thing though, as K-Mac, Kevin Michael Richardson does a great job because Kevin Michael Richardson, who is one of my favorite voice actors out there, Kevin Michael Richardson, for people who don't know, he is the guy who does the buff, badass dude in everything you've ever seen, and you're like, who's that guy's voice? I recognize him from something else. That's Kevin Michael Richardson. I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head that if you've seen a Seth MacFarlane property, he's in it. Let's put it that way. God, who else is in this? I mean, hell, Charles Martinet himself in this
Yeah.
plays both a character who is a reference to the original Jumpman in it, where he does the actual Super Mario woo,
Woohoo! Yeah.
woo, voice to it. He also voices all the other male members of the Mario Brothers family. So
Oh,
they know
he
what they're doing
does.
there. He does. He plays the dad, the uncle, and the grandfather.
That's awesome. Oh, did you mention Keegan Michael Key as Toad?
Oh, how the hell did I forget Keegan Michael Key is? Fuck it. I just okay. Cut immediately to the sound bite of Keegan Michael Key on I want to say Letterman going say what? Yeah, no. How the hell did I forget that? Which is fantastic. As somebody who grew up watching Mad TV and fell in love, in love with it, with that gentleman, watching Key and Peele back in the day. Yes, no. Keegan Michael Key as Toad, incredible casting across the board. Fantastic. Who could ever complain about Chris Pratt?
Well, so I think I was telling you earlier. There's a few spots in the movie where Chris Pratt just it is not doing a great job. But for the most part, for the rest of the movie, he's doing enough of a New York accent where you can kind of forget that it's not Mario. It works just enough not to be a nuisance, but he is the worst voice pick for the movie, but did a great job. I mean,
This is what I'm gonna say. My first little bits of seeing Chris Pratt back in the day. I had a roommate who was obsessed with Parks and Rec. That was my first bit of knowing who Chris Pratt was. Around the same time, he was cast in the Guardians movies. The
Jurassic
went
Park.
on Jurassic World right afterward, and everything else that has kind of come to be because of that. Let's put it this way: I have no attachment to Chris Pratt whatsoever. Hilariously, anytime I hear about him being cast in a movie role, I don't think of him in Jurassic World. I think of him as Andy Dwyer. Had you told me
Yep.
back in 2014 that Andy Dwyer was going to be voicing Mario, I was going to go, oh, hell yeah. You tell me Star-Lord is voicing Mario, I'm going, I don't know if I hear that. You tell me that the dude from Jurassic World is playing Mario, I'm going, contractual obligation to Universal, but I still don't hear it. And then people go, oh yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger's son-in-law is voicing Mario, and I'm just going, I don't hear it. But that's the headspace I went into this movie. I'm going, it's Andy Dwyer voicing Mario. And you know
Well,
what? I'm kind of there for it. I'm kind of there because he does kind of tap back into that sort of character, and it does work for it. However, I will say that what the character is for the movie does not really help with the voice. Let's put it that way.
yeah.
There's not a lot of personality to the voice because, unfortunately, outside of him being a little person in the movie, there isn't really a lot of characterization to the character, I hate to say.
Yep. Yeah, there's many better picks, but I mean, it's just he's the guy that's in everything these days. It reminded me of a meme I saw that I'll send to you later, but it's like a poster. It's like a bus driving down a road, and it says Chris Pratt is Rosa Parks. I ain't gonna move.
Rob Schneider is the stapler kind of
Yeah.
situation. Yeah, I feel you there.
Yeah, but I mean, no, like everyone else voice cast wise kills it. I mean, I've heard couple people complain about Anya Taylor-Joy not being a great fit for Peach. I think she did great as Peach. I mean, I think Peach's voice from the video games would be more annoying in a movie, if anything.
Definitely. Speaking of Peach voice, though, hilariously, the gal who did the voice of Peach for the original Super Mario Brothers Super Show voices the woman who is in the commercial that famously went viral right before the Super Bowl
Yeah.
this year.
Yep.
She voices that and that, but that's also the same voice as their mother in the movie as well, which kind of
Ah,
made me go, "Ooh, that's actually a lot of fun." So it's almost like a
yeah.
passing of the torch, so to speak.
Speaking of all this stuff, I mean, we've mentioned a couple of these little like cameos and Easter eggs and stuff so far. I mean, even just like the musical like stings in this movie. I mean, you have a little sting of Luigi's Mansion when Luigi's alone in the woods. You get a little bit of Donkey Kong Country when they're at the Kong Kingdom knocking on the door. You get a little bit of the Mario Kart 8 theme music when they're picking out their carts. And then the beginning of the movie kind of opens up with this commercial for the Mario Brothers plumbing service, and it's using the Mario Brothers rap from the Super Mario Super Show. Uh,
Mario Brothers, and we're here to say. No, I won't
yeah,
continue with that
and
mess.
plumbing's a
It was
game. Yeah,
but
it's
we did it.
great. So and then you think even just beyond all the little musical stings, like the soundtrack that they've picked for this game. I mean, you got Beastie Boys, you got Tears for Fears, AC/DC. You even get a little bit of Mr. Blue Sky at the end of the movie.
Two things to that. One, Tears. Where is Tears for Fears in this?
It's like right in the beginning.
Because I was,
Um,
I'm like, oh shit, I missed that.
or wait, was it Tears for Fears? And maybe I'm mixing them up.
Are you thinking of Aha with Take on Me during the Donkey Kong sequence?
That must be it.
Ah, sure. Hey, no, not a problem. I mean, hell, you've got fucking Bonnie Tyler with I Need a Hero, which works perfectly for that, and is somebody who is a massive, and I mean massive, Jim Steinman fan, as I am. Oh, when that was happening in that movie, I was okay excited. And as I said to you, right as the movie ended, which, spoiler for people who have not seen this yet, one of the last songs of the movie to play is Mr. Blue Sky by
Mhm.
our good friends over at ELO, who I'm a massive ELO fan. And as I leaned over to you and said during our time in the theater there, any movie that ends with Mr. Blue Sky, or that has Mr. Blue Sky in it, automatically gets 3 stars.
Yep.
3.5 stars in this movie.
Yep. And yeah, that's the thing. Everybody knows that song, even if they don't know it. Everybody loves that song, even if they don't know it. And I've had it stuck in my head for the last 3 weeks straight.
Hey, it's been scientifically proven actually that the two songs to make anybody happy when it comes to the rock genre, Mr. Blue Sky by ELO and Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. Two
Hmm.
songs that has been scientifically proven to make to improve your mood no matter what.
Oh, yeah, well, I guess we've been talking for an hour, so we might as well try to summarize the little bit of plot this movie has. Uh I mean, it starts out where the Mario brothers, they're just some plumbers, right? They're trying to make their way. They just started their business, but they're not popular yet or whatever. There ends up being like a big citywide plumbing issue in Brooklyn, and they go to fix it, and they end up finding a warp pipe to the Mushroom Kingdom or whatever. They get warped there, and the whole plot of the movie is instead of Mario trying to save Peach, Mario's trying to save Luigi because they got separated. Uh, so it's just like kind of that, like Mario and Peach team up. They go and find the Kongs. They meet Donkey Kong and fight him, and then it turns into like a Mario Kart thing. The Kongs and Mario and Peach, they're all on their way to stop Bowser, and the whole time it's this overarching story about how Bowser wants to marry Peach, and man, what a performance from Jack Black. He's I think with this all-star cast, everyone is probably going to their friends and family and going, yeah, I landed a part in the Super Mario Brothers movie, and Jack Black is like, I will make this my life's greatest work. you know
That is an actual quote from this movie. Is during an interview, they talked to Ani Taylor Joy. I don't know if it was red carpet or not, but I know Jack Black was sitting next to her when this interview happened, and they said, "So Anya, was there any kind of preparation you did for this movie?" And she talked about. She goes, "I admit," she goes, "I never played a Mario game, so she goes, I'm not that much of a gamer." the second I was cast in this role, I wanted to try to get into it. So I looked up and she goes, I started playing some of the games so I could kind of get into the headspace. And she goes, but no, I am now a Nintendo gamer because of this. And you know what? I'm so thankful I had the opportunity. So then they turned over to Jack Black and they go, so Jack, how have you prepared for this role? And apparently all he said was, dude, I've been preparing for this role my entire life. And considering his first on-screen role he ever had was in a Pitfall commercial for the original Atari 2600 about 40 years ago. Yeah, no, this motherfucker's been prepping for this role his entire life, and he gives it his all, especially with the musical number of this film,
Oh,
original musical number, Peaches,
oh, it's so good.
which which I'm not sure if you've seen the actual music video where it's
Oh, I
him
have.
in a Bowser costume in
Yep.
a recreation
In a
singing the Peach.
peach colored room with a peach colored piano. Yeah.
Universal has already started talking about potentially campaigning this for Best Original Song at the Academy Awards next year. I'm there for it. I
Me
really
too.
am.
No, it's great. It's great. Everyone needs to see that video. And then, not too long ago, he released his Tenacious D video game song, which
Which I
was
was going to bring up. Yep, I was going to
yeah,
bring that up with you as well. Oh, just brilliant. I just listened to that today while I was hopping in the shower after working on some car repairs. So
yeah,
yes, no, that song is incredible as well. You listen to it, you got to see it with the actual music video,
yeah.
though.
I was
It
gonna
is
say the music video is it's 3D animated by our one of my favorite YouTube personalities, um, Oni plays or Chris O'Neill, Oni NG. He's been an animator on the online for a long time, and him and his friends got the opportunity to make that music video for Tenacious D, and it is awesome. You guys need to see it.
showing it to
But
my parents last weekend, and even they were going, "Wow, that's actually a really good music video."
yeah, it's really fun. Um, but yeah, so I mean, yeah, the whole movie is about Bowser trying to marry Peach, and so they could rule the world together. But Mario and Peach end up, stopping Bowser and capturing him and whatever, and saving Luigi. But they it's not it's when like Bowser transports himself to the real world, to Brooklyn, and they have a big fight in the street and whatever. So it's kind of cool. Kind of cool. Not much to the story there, but it's about the journey, not about the destination. So
The one thing I will say about this movie too, which is kind of fun, is actually sort of Peach and Mario's relationship with one another throughout the film. You could look at it as sort of a being, oh, potentially there might be some sort of a romantic feeling, maybe, but at the same time, it seems
not
quite
really.
platonic on this.
Yeah.
It seems somewhat platonic, which is kind of nice about it. They're not sitting there the entire time giving each other goo goo eyes, which kind of
Yeah.
works. I mean, granted, I can see from Mario's perspective of, oh shit, it's a 6 foot tall blonde goddess standing in front of me, and then Peach looking at him going, holy shit, it's another human after I've been living with the toadstools my entire life. So I can kind of see that, but at the same time, there's at no point that they're like, oh hey, let's bump uglies, so to speak. But yeah,
Well, they start to get a little bit of story in there when Peach, she's like, "Oh, you're a human." He's like the only other human she's ever seen, and she kind of explains how she came to the Mushroom Kingdom when she was a baby, and Toads kind of just raised her and made her their princess. And then Mario's like, "Oh, maybe you're from my world." And she's like, "Maybe the universe is big." And then they just leave it at that. It was kind of really pointless to put in the movie at all, but maybe they'll do something with it later on. I don't know,
well,
but
I was gonna say, considering this is not just the highest grossing video game adaptation of all time, but this is also the third highest grossing animated film of all time, as well as being the highest grossing movie of the year so far. We are currently the end of the 5th month of this year, about to go into the 6th month of June of 2023 for people that are listening back to this at another date. Um, and like I said, this is the third highest grossing animated film of all time, the highest grossing video game movie. And when I took a look at it about a half hour ago, we were currently sitting at $1.23 billion at the international box office. Oh, there's gonna be sequels, my
Oh, for
friends.
sure,
Oh.
for sure. Okay, so how about this? Uh, think about what your favorite part of the movie was, and what you'd like to see in one of the Mario sequels. For me, my favorite part was like everything around the Kong Kingdom, because as you guys may remember from our Donkey Kong episode, I'm a huge Donkey Kong fan. I like Donkey Kong more than I like Mario, and like Mario quite a bit. Uh, so I think, obviously the next movie is going to be an introduction to Yoshi. It's probably going to focus maybe a little bit more on Luigi. We're probably going to have a movie more focused on Bowser, or maybe more focused on Peach, one of the side characters. But I really want a movie focusing on the Kongs. Uh, just imagine Seth Rogen and Fred Armisen just just letting they're two of my top comedians, right? So I would love to see them getting to be in a movie together like that, and that would also give me an opportunity to talk about Donkey Kong 64, which I love Donkey Kong 64, and that game has a lot of interesting history behind it. And I mean, we even in the movie we had a Diddy Kong, Dixie Kong, and Chunky Kong cameo. So this takes place in the Donkey Kong 64 universe already. I mean, come on, Nintendo.
So we're gonna have to get somebody actually, because they just kind of threw someone random in there, just have a high pitched voice for him. Who would be your casting for Diddy Kong for the sequel then, and or the spin-off
For,
movie?
for Diddy Kong, Mark Wahlberg. No,
Yeah, bro, I'm Diddy Kong. Yeah.
no, Diddy Kong. It would probably be someone like, gosh, I want to say Ben Schwartz, but he's already Sonic. But I don't know, some maybe a younger comedian, or no, not even John Mulaney.
I'd be down for that. The other one I can think of, because, well, one, after How to Train Your Dragon, two, he's good friends with Seth Rogen from everything, and three, on top of that, just because, well, I've seen his comedic styling after being on, was it Perfect, or I can't remember the name of the FX show back in the day. Jay Baruchel as the voice of Diddy Kong might be also interesting too.
Oh man, I didn't even think about it. What about Wario and Waluigi? We need to get them in these movies.
By the sound of it, Jack Black is talking to Pedro Pascal right now to do the voice of Wario. He really wants him to do it.
That'd be
I
awesome.
can I can hear it and I can understand that, but the question is, who would be Waluigi then?
Easy. Brian David Gilbert.
Ooh.
He was a journalist for Polygon a couple years ago. But if you don't know who he is, he's got a YouTube and it is fantastic. He has a whole video breaking down Waluigi and explaining why he would be the perfect cast for Waluigi.
How about somebody with a SAG card? Let's do that hiring ship. We'll let the legal department of Universal figure that one out. But how about somebody with a SAG card? Can we go for that?
Huh. Who could? Who could?
Fuck it. I just finished up watching Better Call Saul. Michael Mondo, or Michael Mondo, aka the guy who played I can't remember the name. Voss
Oh.
in Far Cry 3. Michael Mondo at the same time, great character actor. He's been in everything from the Spider-Man films, the most recent Spider-Man films, playing the Scorpion. Like I said, Better Call Saul. Oh my God,
I don't.
he would actually knock it out of the park as Luigi or Waluigi actually.
I don't know who that is, but I just had the thought of Oh my gosh, why can't I remember it now? I just had it. Oh no. Oh, Bill Hader. He needs to do a voice in one of these movies because he's amazing with voices.
Have him be the shy guy, especially after his turn on Barry. Especially after his turn on Barry.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the is this season finale this week or next week? I don't know. I'm excited for it. I don't know if you've been keeping up, but
Series finale. I hate to tell you that, sir.
oh, series well, I think it's time. It's 5 seasons now. So, anyway, yeah, what was your favorite part of the movie?
Y'all can call me, y'all can say you can call me a basic white bitch for this. I didn't wear it for this evening because I was already wearing a white shirt. I'm a massive Beastie Boys fan. I hear No Sleep Till Brooklyn, and you're actually setting it in a Brooklyn. That's pretty awesome. Now, here's the kicker. This will really make this will make anybody listen to this kind of giggle a little bit. The weekend I saw this movie with Archangel, we went and saw it about maybe 3 weeks ago, when it was within its third or fourth weekend of release, which was also the same weekend of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Oh.
Another movie starring Chris Pratt, and the first movie to dethrone this at the worldwide box office from being in the number one spot. It took fucking Marvel to dethrone this film at the worldwide box office. With another movie starring Chris Pratt, and even better, that film also includes No Sleep Till Brooklyn in its soundtrack. And I'm like, didn't I just see this exact same thing in the theater next door? What the flying fuck? But yes, yeah, no, yeah, no, the No Sleep Till Brooklyn part where you actually get to see Mario in this actually being Mario, and it's from a distance, which
Yeah.
is kind of cool to see. And the one
Doing the
thing they kind
little
of
obstacles and stuff. Yeah.
it sets up two things with this character. That's pretty cool. One, this character actually knows parkour, which understands how, oh, that's how he's able to kind of jump around and bounce around and stuff like that. In another scene later, where you actually see in his bedroom, he has posters for like a Tough Mudder kind of thing, as well as for the actual New York Marathon. So you're like, oh, this guy is actually physically fit and he actually runs and stuff like that. So to actually see I would say a realistic, but the closest thing we can get to a realistic version of a guy under 5 feet tall doing the Mario shtick, I think it's kind of cool how they set that within a real world. I'm just like, oh, and then you throw it to one of my favorite bands of all time. Oh, this is awesome. So yeah, I'm
Well,
gonna
and
go with
then
no.
that whole opening scene too, where they're fixing the plumbing at that like rich person's apartment, and the shenanigans with the dog. That was great, great stuff.
As
Yeah.
somebody
So,
who used to be a tile guy for billionaires, I can tell you right now that ain't far from the truth.
oh well, I think everyone knows what we're gonna say, but Elmer, was this a bop or a flop?
This is by far, this is no joke, this is my biggest bop of the year so far. This is, so far, in the year of our Lord, 2023, this is my favorite movie of the year so far. I am so excited, knowing that this is going to go into next year, being probably the front runner for Best Animated Film at the Academy Awards. Jack Black is going to be nominated potentially for Best Original
Oh yeah.
Song, which, as a gigantic Tenacious D fan, that makes me so happy.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, this was a fantastic adaptation. I mean, they were fast and loose with every single part of it. It's an original story in and of itself, for as much as you can be an original story within Mario, but this is a Mario story we really haven't seen before, portraying these characters in ways we haven't seen them. And that's really kind of fun. And I'm really excited to know that this is going to be a franchise now. I am greatly looking forward to any sequels coming to our theaters in the near future.
Yeah, no, with all the Sonic stuff coming down the pipeline and now all the Mario stuff, uh, I'm sure we're gonna be seeing a lot more video game properties, and I'm sure studios would be willing to throw a little bit more money at it now, knowing how much success they can have. So hopefully, this is a good thing. Yeah, but it was a bop for me as well. Like I said, not much of a storyline there, but who needs it? This game is it's an experience. Like if you've ever played even a Mario, just one Mario game, you're gonna have a good time. Hell, probably
Oh,
even if you haven't played, you know. uh, it's just yeah, it's just a great I don't know great experience. I don't want to just call it a movie because it's there's not enough story for it to be a movie, you know.
this movie is a love letter first and
Yeah.
foremost, and I don't care who you are going into it. You will go, oh, this is a love letter to one of the longest running video game franchises of all time, and you can just see that on the screen that the people who wrote this movie love playing Mario Brothers games. You
Mm.
compare that to any other video game movie on the planet. I'm sorry to say that any other video game movie in comparison, no one loves Mario as much as these guys who made this movie. Well, I shouldn't say that. But you can see what I mean is that the
Yeah.
writers who took the time to go through and put all of these things in there, they're coming at it from a place of love. And trust me, I'm somebody who really, really likes those Sonic movies as much as you do, which I was going to say. In comparison, you love those Sonic movies more than anyone else I know, too.
Yeah.
But
Well,
at the
and
same time, the level of just we know what we want to do with this one in comparison to those ones, you can just feel it on the screen
well,
at the
yeah,
same time.
they nailed it. Like how many episodes have we done where we'll say something like, you know, all they gotta do is, you know, put something from the game in there. Like when we were watching Halo, and it was like they had that one scene where it was from the first person perspective of him just mowing down a bunch of aliens, and it's like that's what we want. The fun stuff from the game, put that in the movie. You know,
The
not like
60
Monster
second
Hunter with their crafting stuff. Like, who cares? Put the fun stuff in. That's what we want.
there were 60 seconds, count them, 60 goddamn seconds in the Doom movie that goes, oh, now this feels like Doom. And the
Yep.
second that ends, you're like, whoop, there goes Doom. Bye, Doom.
Yep.
Yeah. No, this movie is 60 seconds of doom on screen for the entirety of that, stretched to an hour and a goddamn half.
Yeah, it's great.
This movie has reset the bar, which you need to do if you're going to do an adaptation of a beloved video game franchise. And you know what? Considering how hard they not only missed that bar, but they knocked their goddamn teeth out on it back in '93 with the first Super Mario Brothers movie, it's good to see that they came around and realized, oh, we're not doing that again.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think this is great. So if you haven't seen it yet, it's streaming. So see it. Even if you don't
No,
have kids, do it.
just go see it. If you're listening to us because we're two 30-year-old guys kicking back in our fucking recliners right now talking about video game movies. Not coming to this as a place of going, oh, I'm not a video gamer. Trust me, you're in some way a video gamer. If you ever played a Mario game at all, it was like, this character is endearing. I understand just the joy, the fun, as well as just sort of the heroic aspect of this character just being a short little Italian guy who wants to help save the day. That is what this movie does perfectly. And
Yep.
this is one of the best versions of the hero's journey I've ever seen put on screen. I'm not going to
Yep.
lie, because you can literally see him. No joke. This Star Wars Lord of the Rings, greatest versions of the hero journey I've ever seen put on film.
Yeah. If your story is gonna take a back seat like that, you need this level of uh I guess entertainment, like attention to detail, like little things, to make it fun. Otherwise, you just end up with a mess. But
Uh,
yeah,
and here's the best part. All of the Easter eggs in this movie that make you go, oh, I remember that from the game. At the same time, it's still utilized so that way when you see it, you're like, oh, I may know that that is an Easter egg, but simultaneously, that's either a funny joke, a funny bit, or I could see that how that helped to move the story along. They literally use the line, yes, they are princesses in another castle. And they use it in such a way that you're like, okay, I know what that's from.
yep,
If you don't know what that's from, you're like, oh, that's kind of a funny joke on the same token. So at the same
yeah,
time, they use it in service of the story. How
yeah.
hard
It's
is
great.
that?
They nailed it. So with that, I guess we can conclude this episode by saying to go see it because you don't hear us say that often. Um, but yeah,
Also,
if
again, it's still like number 3 or 4 at the box office, and it came out over a fucking month ago. Go see it.
yeah, yeah. But with
Almost two
that,
months ago.
I'll say if you're listening to this and you want to catch our videos, or if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to just listen to this on your favorite podcasting app, head over to gamelink.click. You'll find all our links there. Um, and if you want to catch us live, hopefully we'll be back every Sunday again now that we've had our little break with our broken vehicles and whatever. So
Which, once
catch us on
again, so
Twitch.
sorry about that, folks. Speaking of which, this week, though, what's going to be the final week of May of 2023 here, I'm going to be guest starring on our good friend Thor. His podcast, Thor's Hour of Thunder. We're going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite action films, which, if you haven't seen it, oh, baby, it's on Tubi. Check it out. Hard Target with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Ah,
The great Lance Hendrickson, the Mummy's mummy himself, Arnold Vosloo, as well as the patron saint of diabetes, Wilfred Brimley, affecting a Cajun accent for possibly the greatest version of a book or a story you had to read in high school, The Most Dangerous Game. We're going to be talking about Hard Target, and I am so excited for that this next week. So,
right
yeah,
on.
check us out on that.
All right. Well, let's roll the outro. We'll see you guys soon.
Stay safe, stay sexy.